The Bloods and the Crips, the gangs of Los Angeles, are they still there? Well, yes, but they've also come into rural areas and small towns across America. Charlene Israel brings us this look at what's behind the spread of gangs.
It is a lifestyle glamorized by today's hip-hop culture and made popular on sites like YouTube and MySpace. For Troy Evans of Grand Rapids, Michigan, the first step to this lifestyle wasn't that unusual.
I guess right around 15 years old, and I started skipping school, doing some of the normal things that you would see in a kid that's headed down the wrong path.
A path that eventually led Troy into the gang life, where he was welcomed with open arms.
They were very, very loving, and they accepted me for who I was. I quickly joined because of a friend, my best friend. He joined, and we decided together to get involved.
Troy quickly learned the ways of his new family.
The drug selling was my big thing.
Street gangs have been big things in cities like LA, New York, and Chicago. According to the FBI, there are some 30,000 violent street gangs, motorcycle gangs, and prison gangs in the U.S. Some of the more organized and infamous are the Crips and the Bloods, the Latin Kings with as many as 50,000 members, and MS-13, a group so notorious that the FBI has assigned an entire task force to it.
MS-13 out of El Salvador has caused a lot of havoc, a lot of harm throughout many communities. It has 13,000 gang members, but is prevalent in 34 states. That's a national concern.
Many are expanding their terror operations to cities and towns where residents are accustomed to leaving their doors unlocked. Herb Brown heads the Criminal Gangs Division for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
What we started to see maybe 5 or 6 years ago is that gang now starting to spread to the smaller communities in America, moving from the West Coast to the Omaha region, then going from Denver out to Charlotte.
Dunn, North Carolina is home to about 10,000.
We had some SIR 13 members from the neighboring communities that actually tagged the side of this old auto parts building on this side and the opposite side. And along with some other areas in town that have been tagged.
Residents are concerned.
It really upsets me because the gangs are really taking over. You can look at certain parts of town and see how it's gone down. And if you ride, look, you see it's nothing but gangs.
It makes me feel upset that it's around here because I got little brothers and sisters.
A little further up the state in Elizabeth City, Officer Gary Bray says national gangs have become a menace.
About 3 years ago, we had 3 guys come in from New York. They all moved here to Elizabeth City, probably to escape some type of prosecution in New York. And that's when we saw the blood gangs open up.
We had about 55,000 gang members in 1975. Fast forward to 2008, we have 960,000 gang members.
Brown says one of the biggest reasons is they have access to the internet, both to communicate and recruit. That brings us back to Troy Evans. After becoming a Christian, he walked away from the gang life. Today, he tries to steer at-risk kids away from gangs, the subject of a recent workshop he hosted in Grand Rapids.
It really started because I see the need in the church. Specifically in smaller urban communities and even in the suburban communities where the lack of information, not knowing about this epidemic, not knowing about this hideous disease called gangs.
Members of Troy's former gang attended the workshop.
Why did you want to become a member?
That just didn't have nothing to do at the time. Just wanted to be, somebody.
33-year-old John McKinney has been a member since he was 12.
I had problems in the home. My dad was a drug addict. My mama was alcoholic and a drug addict. I grew up in the ranks, came up in the ranks, and I became a leader.
But John argues his gang is not a bad influence.
We are a peaceful organization, okay? And we are not negative people. And believe this or not, I'm a Christian. It's crazy to say that's a vice lord. How can you be a Christian? We are Christians.
Meanwhile, gang specialists blame certain images in the media and the breakdown of families for rising gang membership.
Kids are watching TV, and every day that they watch TV and this is glorified, at this point, they don't want to be what used to be on TV. They don't want to be the Bill Cosby kids anymore. They want to be what they see on TV, which is 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg, and whoever else that's out there.
Former gang member Jose Velez of Chicago, Illinois, offers this warning to those who think that way.
And I tell them, you know, if you think it's cute, well, you know what, look, go to your neighborhood morgue and let me know if that's cute when you see that body with 3 or 4 bullet holes, ages 16 and 17.
As for Troy, he is just thankful that he made it out of the gang alive.
God has blessed me so that I can make it out to talk about it. But there's so many people that have not made it out, that live to talk about it, or they're behind bars for the rest of their lives. To consider more than just today.
Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Terry, you know, a few years ago, several decades ago, as a matter of fact, Dave Wilkerson said that he'd had a vision, and part of it was that the neglected children of that generation were going to turn on society, and that's exactly what's happening.
The streets of America would burn.
It would burn, and that's exactly what's happening. My father was a drug addict. My mother was a prostitute. You know, they were both drunk. They beat me. One went to jail. That kind of stuff. And it's leading to...
Well, you know, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. I mean, where do we get our moorings? Where do we get direction in our lives? We get it from watching the people who've raised us, the people who are around us. And so when you have nobody to give you that,
who are the role models? The role models are the violent rappers who've got lyrics that are just horrible. And but, ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious problem. And you can say, well, let's be sweet and get people straightened out. That's good. But at the same time, the rest of them have got to be locked up. You cannot allow these young people to prey on the cities of America. Dunn, North Carolina is a wonderful town, and I've known fellows who was the mayor of Dunn. It's a terrific town. To have that overrun with gangs, same thing with Elizabeth City, is close to us. We can't have that. You just cannot allow it. And so there needs to be the same thing as the surge in Iraq. You've got to say, we are not going to permit this to happen.